I was born in England, in Reading,
Huh.
and I spent a whole 6 months of my life in England before my parents jumped on a boat and came to Australia. So every Sunday morning we were packed off in our Sunday best and marched out the front door, and Mum and Dad stayed home,
Right.
and all of us kids went to a Sunday school up the road from where we lived until we hit high school, and then we could decide whether we stayed on or not. So of course, teenage years, it was easy decision. That was boring. Wasn't going to stay there.
Mm.
So I always believed that you couldn't have a middle name unless you were baptized.
Ah.
So when we had Rosalind, I was like, we've got to get her baptized. She's got to have a middle name, So I figured, Rosalind Joan Mainderts had lots of letters in it. That was a great name to have. And you have to have 4 lessons, of course. So it's like, oh, okay, we'll do 4 lessons again. But we're not really churchy people, we just want to get them baptized, that sort of thing. And anyhow, we met Les Galton, who was at Wimerley Anglican here, and he was just a real relational people person. I didn't feel like he was pushing the Bible down our throat or telling that we had to have a bum on a seat in church. It was really questioning, what did we believe in? What did we think would happen to us when we died? So I started questioning, and it really made me think, well, wow, I don't know. I just always assumed that I should be allowed to go to heaven, a good person. I didn't think there was anything more to it.
Mm.
And so that ended up going to a play group up at Winmalee and meeting mums up there. And there was just a couple of ladies I thought were just a little bit different. And and from there we just kind of started unfolding into play group, going to a Bible study group, popping
Mm.
along to church. And I just remember how welcoming the people at church were.
Mm.
And no shot of lightning or anything for Jeff or I. It was very much a drip, 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 drip kind of walk with God.
Mm.
And more so as Dave walked into the picture of our learning and understanding of who Jesus was and who we were to be in his community,
Mm.
kind of made me come even more alive. So you don't want people to miss out. I mean,
Mm.
it's such great news to know that that God has done it all for us through Jesus,
Mm.
and that we have someone who will intercede for us to God, so that we have that permanent relationship with Him forever.
Mm.
And the surgeon came in and basically said, you've got ovarian cancer, and he showed me pictures of my diaphragm, and it actually looked like Smarties all
Oh
over my
boy.
like all these little tumors that were growing.
Wow.
Um, anyhow, I said, oh, do I have a time? Like what sort of time? Because you kind of always hear these time limits they give everyone. And he said, oh, it's normally 2 to 5 years. And I was thinking, wow, 2 to 5 years, that's not long. I kind of already had it okay in my head, because I've got God and God's got me, and that would be okay.
Mm.
Um, and then, of course, Jeff went home, and I was left alone all night. And all night I was laying awake thinking about, if I'm going to die within this time, I really should write letters for if my other children get married that aren't married yet, and letters for when they have their first baby. And like, I was thinking all these things through, just crazy stuff. And
Wow.
one of my biggest concerns that came to my head was, oh no, who's going to run Camp for Kids? Camp for Kids is a camp for kids who have parents in prison. And it's just a chance for them to get together in a space where they all have the same thing in common. So
Mm.
sometimes they feel that they're as bad as their parents, and they feel just as guilty, whereas at camp they can talk about it more freely
Mm.
and not feel judged by the other kids, because they're all in the same boat. 18 years down the track, I'd say the last probably 4 or 5 years have been, I can just really see God at work in how camp is working. It's got a different feel about it, a different vibrancy to it.
Oh, cool.
As a 10, 11, 12-year-old, I would have said there's no way they're going to come back next
Mm.
year. I've had concrete thrown at me and punches thrown, and
Wow.
we've just had lots of big behaviours, because you can't change a kid in a week that you've got at camp. They come with all their
Wow.
anger and hurt and shame, and there's so
Wow.
many feelings that come out of at camp.
Mm. Has that affected your understanding of grace and God's grace?
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. Even for, I think even more so for the leaders to have grace on these kids when they're behaving like that.
Mm.
We've talked a lot about the like Chris Owen was part of this talk with me one day about the scales of judgment. Like, do we judge the child over and over again because of this behaviour, or do we show grace and walk them through like God walks us through? When we're not behaving well, how does God deal with that? And he shows us, I just think, how does God love me? He must be sick and tired of the amount of times I fail him, and yet still he walks me through it every time. And I just think, well, that's what we're there to do. We're there to be Jesus and his hands and feet and to walk them through.